Hi, this is Felicia Lilley. I wanted to show you my sketchbook. Okay, I cut out the surface here on the cover, and my intention was for this sketchbook to be only of my book. And so I left a few pages in the front to make my title page and all that kind of good stuff, and just my extra whatever. There's my storyboard that I learned from Mark, and then I went to the bookstore and I sat down, and I don't know if you can see it, but I sketched out all the different layouts for like the text and the pictures. So I kind of just did that to give myself some ideas of how different formats go, different ways to do the text and the writing and all that kind of good stuff. And I don't like this at all. That was like my very first thing when I started doing this. And then what I did was I numbered out my pages. So I had, you know, the 1 through 28 or 32 or whatever it was for each page. And so I started doing just my sketches from the thumbnails, from these thumbnails. And so I started doing like some of my basic sketches of what I wanted to do on the pages. And then if I didn't have anything there, I wrote down, you know, what the page was about. And so we have a bunch of that. Sorry, I've got a sore throat. So anyway, that's where that's going. So then I get back here and I started doing all this research for my character. And so I found what I felt like she was going to look like, and at certain ages. And so this is like the marks, and I took out the face that was actually there and put my face, transposed it there so that it would look like my person. And so this is one of the sketches. So then what I did was I got the proportions, so how she would be compared to everybody else. And this is, you can't really see that. And that's my next one. I think I turned that in one day for on the Widgeo. This right here, as you can see, I don't have anything there. These are a bunch of just sketches of toys. So pretty much filled that page up with just toys, which it should have been the sketch of my page, but it wasn't. And this right here is just a really quick basic sketch that turned into this. I still don't like that. It's not really working for me, so I'm going to completely toss that, redo it. Then again, these are just some really quick basic sketches of what the page is going to end up looking like. So then I said, okay, when I started trying to make her consistent on each page, then I realized I needed proportion lines. And so this is just a generic kid out of a book. So then what I did was I started looking at the age group of what I needed my character to look like. And so this is my character, and I kind of ended up having to change her a little bit, but it's really working for me. And so then these are actual photographs, and so this is the character that has really come into play here. These are a bunch of samples, and as you can tell, what I'm doing is whenever I found out my research, I had it in a file at first, and then I just started cutting and pasting, just sticking it on all in my scrapbook, because I just needed all my stuff in one spot. And so these just turned out to be just a bunch of sketches for the pages. And still we're on page 11 here. And, you know, this is one sketch, and don't really like her. So I had my daughter pose for me here. And so then I used tracing paper, and so I've got to fill her in and make the arms a little bit different because of the age difference. I learned this whole trick of the tracing paper on Mark Mitchell's blog, or his site there because another lady had done it. I don't remember her name off the top of my head. And I use the tracing paper a lot. Like here's my tracing paper. I put it over this picture, and then I just started developing a little bit more in her chin, and just started developing the character a little bit more. She didn't have glasses at this age, but I want the character to have glasses, so that's where this comes from. So a lot of these pictures here was actually tracings of the real photo, but we decided that we didn't really like the way she looked. She looked like she was 12 years old. Didn't really want her to look 12 years old. And so this is the proportion of an actual 5 to 7 year old child, but this girl doesn't look 5 to 7. She looks a lot older. And again, here's the side view, and this is where I started turning her into. And these are some of the photos that I'm trying to use. This in here is kind of over there. And then these are tracings of this and tracings of this, and decided I didn't really like these, but I've included them in my sketchbook just so that I can see what I don't like, what I can compare. Then these were proportions that I found online, and I just wanted to include them in my sketchbook just because I can go back and look at all this stuff all at one, it's all in one space. And so this really helped me because I needed to find the dynamics or the proportion of the two girls together. So I took a photograph and scanned it, and I determined how many heads high, which here we go, the heads high. And this is just a big picture of 5-year-olds, and that's how old I wanted this chick, this little girl. And so I just needed to see where they were in comparison to each other. And so now this is my main character, and so I've started kind of developing her from that very first original sketch back there of the body proportions. Then I found it was really hard to find poses, different body figures, different anatomy of this of children. So I found an old children's book, and I scanned all these. Yes, that's cheating, I realize that. And I'm not tracing them, I'm using them to help me. And so, you know, these are just some of my references that I can go back and say, okay, I really like the way they're sitting here, change it up a little bit, and really it's helpful. This is a little bit older kid, some more proportions, and now this is starting to develop my character, the main little girl. So what I've done is I have started using other characters, like, okay, this one here, I've kind of used the way that is for this. You can see that. And then like this one right here, I was going to develop into her, but I decided I didn't need it. And so you can see where, now this is what she actually would look like. I purposely made her head a little bit larger than in real life because it just looks more children's bookish. I didn't want it to look realistic, so that was just my call. And then I found a sketch of this old man standing like this. I used my tracing paper, traced it out, and then I used that to kind of go here. Then this one here, I think was, I don't remember where she came from. Anyway, so this was the picture that I wanted to use because when she was little, she didn't like anybody touching her, and so, but this did not look right. I couldn't get that drawing to depict what I was trying to say, so I've kind of decided to use this character here. And so now that's kind of where this is developing from. And so then what was happening was, it was like, oh my gosh, I had so much stuff in this sketchbook that I was starting to get a little bit lost and unfocused. okay, what page am I working on? Blah, blah, blah. You know, I happen to have these extra portfolios from my photography business. So what I did was I scanned each one of my pages. And these are supposed to be double pages. So I really don't know how this is going to work out. I just scanned it, drew a line down the middle because that's kind of where my thoughts are, but I've got to figure that out because that's not really working for me. I don't know how to fix that just yet, so I'm going to go on. So then what I did was all those pages from the beginning of my sketchbook, whenever I started the 1, 2, 3, you know, the 1 through 28 things, I took and scanned that, and I came over here and put it in here just so that I could see it all in one book. Use my sticky notes to put my wording, and the wording is not probably how it's going to be. I just threw that in there, and just to kind of get me a roadmap of where I'm going. And like I say, these are just a lot of basic sketches because I was having a problem because I didn't have all my pages laid out. I knew in my head what I wanted, but I just didn't have them sketched out. And outside mowing. See ya. Hope you enjoyed the silly little video. Bye, y'all. Oh, and by the way, the music in the background is reggae, my funky music. Bye.